the Institute of Jamaica's YouTube and, of course, Facebook. That is for the Ministry of Education and Information. We want to thank you for joining. Let me just state at this point, I'm wearing no mask. It is sitting there on the chair. This institute has a space for maybe 100 and odd or more people, 300 people, and there are only, at this point, 10 of us in here, all right? So please bear that in mind. I would like to apologize right at the start for the very late start. There are times when we have challenges because of the new dispensation in which we must operate. But let me apologize to all of you, both those persons who will be participating in the program and those who are watching the program, just to see what is happening. It's Child Month, the official launch of Child Month 2021, and we thank you for supporting, for joining, and for ensuring that we do better by our children. So with the apology out of the way, thanks again. I'd like to also acknowledge a very important person in this gathering. She is signing, the sign language interpreter with an interesting name, not Marvisha so much, but Good Game Chin, Mrs. Marvisha Good Game Chin. And to make all of this happen, and I don't know how he managed to pull it off at this time, I'd like to thank Mr. Jeff Clark of the Institute of Jamaica for getting things up and running. We are observing all COVID-19 protocols at this time. In between speakers, you may see us just go to the caption of the Child Month flyer. And that is because in between speaking, the microphone and the lectern will be sanitized for each new person and for when I return. So this is the new way we do things. So please acknowledge, and we thank you for understanding. Let me acknowledge the persons who have come along to be on this program, either here in the auditorium, and there are just two of those persons here, or those persons who are online. Big thank you to the person who will be giving the keynote address, Honourable Robert Nesta Morgan, the Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. Thank you so very much. To launch Child Month, we are always happy to have the Honourable Douglas O'Rain as part of this, patron of Child Month. Thank you so very much. Then, of course, a chairperson of the National Child Month Committee, Dr. Pauline Mullings, who is with us here. Ms. Carrie-Ann Palmer, Secretary of the National Child Month Committee. We want to thank you. We couldn't do this each year without the help of sponsors and supporters. Mrs. Gail Moss Solomon, General Counsel and Chief Corporate Secretary, Grace Kennedy Limited. Ms. Laurie Ann Samuels, Executive Director of the National Baking Company Foundation. We thank you so very much. Then greetings will come from persons who head very important agencies that impact directly on what happens for Child Month and throughout the year. Mrs. Rosalie Gage Gray, we want to thank you so very much for being here and where you are in this program and supporting, and that's the Child Protection and Family Service Agency. And Mrs. Diane Gordon Harrison, thank you, Office of the Children's Advocate, and you are indeed the Children's Advocate. We want to thank the performers you will hear from and Grub Cooper, who did something original for this very special event. Thank you so much. The theme this year is I strive to overcome adversities with resilience. And yes, there are some things happening in our society and across the globe where children are concerned, of which we are not proud, but we strive on. We work assiduously to make sure that we make it better for our children. With the opening prayer, may I invite Ms. Carrie-Ann Palmer, Secretary to the National Child Month Committee, to say prayer.
Pleasant morning, everyone. Let us bow our heads. Dear Lord, we are grateful to you for another morning. Thank you, O God, for bringing us to this launch of Child Month. We thank you for all participants and everyone on the program, everyone who worked behind the scenes to enable it to happen. We thank you for our children, mighty God, and we thank you for our families, as we intend to help with the building and the strengthening of these units to build a better society. As we launch our Child Month activities, mighty God, I pray that you will order our steps, guide our thoughts. I pray, oh God, for partners, willing hands, dear Lord, to accomplish the aims and objectives set out, and that you will receive glory from all that will be done, all that will be accomplished, and the lives that will be touched. Pray for transformation in our society, in each individual, as we commit our children, our families, our nation, our entire society to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you for starting us off with a prayer, Ms. Carrie-Ann Palmer. Now, to give you the official welcome and overview, it is indeed my pleasure to invite Dr. Pauline Mullings, Chairperson of the National Child Month Committee, to welcome you here. Dr. Mullings, let me step aside while you come forward.
Good morning, everyone. This is a wonderful privilege to be here once more to share with you our event for 2021.
Look at the bottom.
Just a minute, please. Is it? Thank you. Just making sure that you can all hear me. Yes, we are so happy to be here. And today, I want to take this opportunity to give thanks first to our God for allowing us this wonderful privilege. And so, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, Honourable Robert Nesta Morgan, MP, Patron of Child Month, Honourable Douglas Orain, CDJP, Mrs. Gail Moss Solomon, Grace Kennedy Limited, Ms. Lorianne Samuels, National Baking Company Foundation, Mrs. Rosalie Gage Gray, Child Protection and Family Service Agencies, Mrs. Diane Gordon Harrison, Officer of the Children's Advocate, Madame Master of Ceremonies, Miss Faye Ellington, members of the press, students, teachers, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the members of the National Child Month Committee, a pleasant morning to you all. I take this opportunity to bid you welcome. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And all the different social media platforms, we are moving in line with 2021. The heights by great men reached and kept were not attained by sudden flight, but they, while their companions slept, were toiling upward through the night. A simple yet potent memory verse that many of us learned as a child. It's quite apt as we as a nation and indeed the world endeavor to overcome the negative impact of the coronavirus. We will not be distracted, but steadily persevere until we soar and go beyond our lack and limitations. A seed has to be planted, nurtured, and brought to maturity in order to yield fruit. Therefore, the National Child Month Committee intends to inculcate this soaring spirit in all our children and youth. Let me briefly share how we began. We began in 1953 as a concert of three agencies: the Child Welfare Association, the Jamaica Children's Service Society, and the Jamaica Save the Children Fund. The National Child Month Committee today is made up of approximately 19 agencies or organizations, and independent volunteers with a mission to use the month of May, recognized nationwide as Child Month, to educate the public about the needs of our children and to articulate what each of us can do to help. Hence, our objectives. 1, to host monthly meetings with individuals, private and public agencies who work on behalf and/or with children on issues affecting our children island-wide. 2, to heighten public awareness of the many issues and challenges negatively affecting the development of children and of steps that can be taken to address some, if not all of these issues and effectively meet the challenges. To mobilize resources and facilitate action to support children-focused programs. 4, to help support the objectives of the National Parenting Commission by empowering parents to effectively perform their role. 5, to encourage positive youth development through the creation of avenues for engagement, advocacy for outstanding achievement and self-worth. I soar. I strive to overcome adversities with resilience. The theme for 2021 follows nicely on the heels of the 2020 theme. Unplug negativity, connect positivity, think. The members of the National Child Month Committee endeavor to refocus, motivate, and empower, particularly our children, to strengthen their resolve to persevere and achieve despite the pandemic, despite hardship, despite limitations, and soar to higher dimension, going beyond the familiar, charting new territories. The National Child Month Committee aims to host 6 flagship activities this year. We have begun with our media launch today. Our annual church service will be held on Sunday, May 2 at the Linstead Pentecostal Tabernacle, 24 Gillett Street, Linstead, St. Catherine. This will begin at 9:30 a.m. and will be streamed live on their Facebook page. I hasten to say that all of our activities are intended to be virtual, with only the necessary minimal in-person contact facilitated as we abide by the protocols set out from the Disaster Risk Management Act. Other churches across Jamaica are encouraged to dedicate the first Saturday or Sunday in May as their official Child Month service. We ask our overseers kindly that services for that day be children-centered, and where possible, to have the children directly involved. Example with praying, giving a charge, reading the scripture, rendering a song or a poem or reflection surrounding the theme. We ask as well that the word delivered could incorporate the theme, I soar, I strive to overcome adversities with resilience, but as the Spirit leads. We want to inform everyone also that annually we have our activities either in Kingston or outside of Kingston. And this year we are having most of our activities, if not all, outside of Kingston, just so you are aware. In 2012, by proclamation, the Governor General of Jamaica, the Most Honourable Sir Patrick Allen, declared the 3rd Friday in the month of May annually as National Children's Day, which will be observed this year on Friday, May 21. Treat the children, especially on that day, boost their spirits, give them tangible gifts, reaffirm their worth, reaffirm your love for them, help them to soar. For this year, we'll be hosting Picnic Party 2.0. Here, our children 6 to 17 years old are asked to display their talents, whether they'll be singing, dancing, delivering poetry, or playing an instrument, as they give their best interpretation of our theme. I strive to overcome adversity with resilience. Yes, I soar. The committee began hosting the National Day of Prayer in 2014, and oh, what a blessing this has been. In all that we do, we ask for God's guidance, His leading, and His protection, especially on the lives of the children we are entrusted to protect. Selecting this day is geared towards asking God's intervention in the atrocities and attacks that are taking place against our children and families. This event will be held on Wednesday, May 26th. We will be confirming the host assembly shortly, but we encourage all churches to dedicate a period of that day to fasting and prayer, especially for the nation's children and their families. Although the committee is primarily tasked with highlighting our children in the month of May, other significant occasions are provided to give them a platform which to speak and to recognize their efforts in triumphing over adversities. On Friday, November 5, we will host our annual youth forum. Our youth are given the opportunity to express their fears and concerns about what's happening in our nation and its impact on them. They are given the opportunity to voice their ideas of possible interventions that could be made, that could be used to make a positive change. They speak, we listen. The Youth Academic Achievement Awards recognize students from non-traditional high schools across Jamaica who have excelled academically. Minimum of 5 CSEC subjects passed in one sitting, and that they are good role models and have exhibit resilience through challenging circumstances. This ceremony will be held on Friday, November 19, in collaboration, of course, with Youth Month. Our sponsors. The National Child Month Committee is a voluntary organization, and we depend largely on sponsorship. And today we want to say, through thick and thin, our lead sponsors, Grace Kennedy Limited and National Baking Company Foundation, have stood with us. And we sincerely appreciate the steadfastness. We acknowledge the partnership forged with the Ministry of Education, Youth, and Information as we collaboratively seek to keep children on the forefront of national discourse and intervention. We say welcome to Sagicor and Jamaica Money Market Brokers Foundation, the JMMB, and acknowledge by faith the other sponsors who will join hands, hearts, and resilience, and of course resources to transform the lives of our children by being the wind beneath their wings. We are in community, and all hands are needed on deck to build and fortify it. To partner with us as a sponsor, please contact us at 876-909-5859 and at ncmc ja@gmail.com. I repeat, the number to call, 876-909-5859, and at ncmcja@gmail.com. All our sponsors' support, particularly last year, assisted tremendously in transitioning us to the online virtual space, where our reach was wider, both local and international. Over 461,000 persons were engaged via the committee's Facebook page during the month of May alone, notwithstanding that the reach was far greater as our daily posts were shared by organizations such as the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, MOEY, the Child Protection and Family Service Agency, CPFSA, and other organizations, public and private, and by individuals. As we move through 2021, I encourage us all to engage more in our virtual platform and post the activities planned at your local or individual levels to honor and recognize our children by tagging the National Child Month Committee in post using hashtag #Child Month JA and Child Month 2021. Subscribe, like, and follow us, as well as Facebook and Twitter, and at ncmc_JA for Instagram. To help keep focus on the theme and spur us as adults into action, the committee has created a calendar for the month of May with 31 tips to help parents, adults, and to guide children in soaring. We truly want all our children to soar, and we are depending on the adults to make this happen for them. I encourage us to be deliberate as we put in action these daily tips. Share your stories, pictures, etc. on our social media, and don't forget to use the hashtag. The calendar also showcases Child Month related activities of our member organizations and agencies. Please support and contact them individually for further information. I take this opportunity as I continue to express our thanks to our patron, Honourable Douglas O'Rain, for his effort in consistently assisting us as we aim to have sponsors to help us during the month of May. All our plans would not have come to fruition except they were carried on the wings, on shoulders of our membership, who represents public and private organizations that invest in child welfare, or who are individuals who believe in investing in tomorrow's future. Special thanks as we commend all the members of the National Child Month Committee. We give special thanks to Dr. Michelle Campbell and Mrs. Michelle Golden Hilton for co-hosting this event along with their team. Team effort and strong support is what we use to make tasks easier. National Child Month Committee members, wherever you are, on whichever platform, do know you continue to be my legs. I be in the chair, need legs. A chair without legs, no chair. Thank you so much for being my legs. I really do appreciate you. Thank you all for joining us for the launch today. I am excited and I'm looking forward to all the activities, the various activities that you, yes, you have planned for our children, your children, and the youth as we do our part to help them soar. Yes, as we help them strive to overcome adversities with resilience. This is our goal. This is our aim. We believe we can do it. Yes, together we can. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
And so you heard the enthusiasm, the energy, the love that Dr. Mullings brought as the chairperson of the National Child Month Committee. And we thank you again for being on whatever platform you are on, participating in this. Might I just remind you that the third Friday in May annually is observed as Children's Day. And really, that's just one day out of so many each year. But I'm pleading with anyone who's ever had a child or children, whether you call yourself mother or father, you don't get a child. You know, just have a picnic. You have responsibility to love, care, nurture that child or those children. Some of the things we hear are very, very disconcerting and unsettling. But we know that in your heart, you want to do better, those of you who are not doing as well as you should with parenting your child. Reach out for help if you must. But we, as a nation, must help our children and do better, even those that we did not bring into the world. So you can imagine those we bring into the world? All right. And speaking of children, I love little ones performing. And at the basic school age, they have no inhibitions, or if they do, they mask them, here goes that word again, in such a way that you find it absolutely divine and delightful. It is now my pleasure to introduce the Wilbert Stewart Basic School, and they are at Homestead Road, Kingston 2, and their teacher, Janice Brown, got together these children to do this poem that is ISOAR, which is the theme that we've been talking about since morning at this launch of 2021. So let's have a watch. Here they are. Welcome them in your hearts. Like an eagle, they say. Yes, they're just what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make we clap them, no? So they can hear something happening inside this big auditorium of 300 chairs and the 8 of us. Indeed, indeed. Wonderful. And they deliver that with such confidence, you know. That's what I like about you. Please encourage your children to perform if they seem to have that ability or that talent, because it does help with who they become, you know. Encourage that. And now greetings are coming from some very special people. And these people mean a lot to this entity and to Child Month, and they have supported in their own way over the years. Mrs. Gail Moss Solomon, how are you? General Counsel and Chief Corporate Secretary, Grace Kennedy Limited. I'm handing over to you, Miss Gail. Here we go. we're doing a blended thing, you see. So we're going between me and some recorded things. So sometimes these things happen. And I just have to find a way to manage it. You understand? So yes, and let me tell you, Mr. Clark, you're up on a roll. Let's go.
Of yourself. Help others. You know, sometimes limited, which as you know is responsible child. One.
So with everything in life, with the technologies and stuff, things happen. But it's not going to deter us. We are going to ensure that we work it through. The very hard-working person in the AV section here, the IOJ, the Institute of Jamaica, is working assiduously to get every little bit and portion and segment of the launch in place. And sometimes these things happen, and we just have to work with them. You know, when we think about the brilliance of some of our children, all of our children really, all, because they are brilliant in different ways. And we just want to reach out to them. If there is a child in your community who is not your child, but you think that you can extend some love and appreciation and encouragement and mentorship, do so. Do so. And you're not doing it for any rewards. I mean, I have extended myself, and you just do it because that's how you're brought up. Your mother do it and your grandmother do it and say, that's how you do it, and you do it. And sometimes you get some, you know, they come back. You don't even remember that you did something to help someone. That is when you're doing it from your heart, you know, and you're not doing it for any praise. And then all of a sudden you might see a young person return to say, Miss, you remember when you saw and so? Sometimes just a word of encouragement, you know. Or they were having a bad day and you say something to encourage them, or you're able to do something that had some material value that they needed at that time. A material value could be a cup of soup. It doesn't have to be just that tablet, which is important. I was listening this morning. I'm a BBC person in the mornings, anywhere between 4 and 5 when I get awake, up until 7. And I was listening to a woman. I was kind of distracted at points, but she's from, I think, Zimbabwe, I believe it was. And when she was about 8, she almost died of starvation. And somebody from the United Nations passed through her community and gave her a bowl of, was it soup or porridge? And that just not only saved her life that day, but she went along through life wanting to work with the United Nations. And her grandmother, who was, you know how grandmothers are in the black communities, in our community, she was just her stalwart and she stand up by her, and she encouraged her and get her to go to England. And she wanted to join United Nations. Hell and powder house, when she catch her England, she never realized the headquarters of the United Nations, no, did they? Right? So, but then she has been part of the United Nations, and her name escapes me just now. But if you go on the BBC website, you will find it. And if you go on BBC World Service and Sounds, that's what they use for their live broadcast, and you will find it. Amazing story. So what I'm saying is just extend yourself to some young one. Sometimes, you know, even when they misbehave, sometimes you have to find a way to reprimand that teaches a lesson so much more than perhaps be too harsh, you know. Sometimes we have to find that way. You know, easy don't know, you know, the late Easton Lee, and I have older friends, and thank God for older friends because I learned so much from them. And the late Easton Lee told me something years ago, maybe 4 decades ago, 3 decades ago. He said about children, when they're a little bit, then tie up your foot. When they grow big, then tie up your heart. That's true, you know. All when them are 70 and you are 90, them are still your picnic, but respect is due. And you have to understand that they have gone through the child into teenage, into young adult, into adult. And so as parents now, we also have to understand when they're adults, it doesn't mean that when your children become adults, you can't, if you see them go down a wrong road, you're supposed to say, that road don't look right. You're going to buck up in a one wall, and the wall are going to have some big piece of steel that will go juke you. So the wall might have some sharp edges that will affect you negatively. For those of you who do not quite get where I'm going with my Jamaican language. Are you ready then, sir? You think we're ready for her? Yes? Let's try now. We're going to try again for you, Mrs. Gail Moss Solomon. I know you're watching, and we want to make sure that your message is heard from beginning to end. So let's try.
Whatever is good for Jamaica is good for Grace Kennedy, and vice versa. And we continue to live by this. Grace Kennedy commends and supports the work of the National Child Month Committee. We pray for guidance and blessings for the committee members and for all of you as you prepare to implement the program for 2021 under the theme, I strive to overcome adversity through resilience. This theme, particularly as we battle the COVID-19 pandemic, brings to mind the saying, tough times don't last forever, tough people do. For a little over a year now, Jamaica and in fact the world has been feeling the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, and no one has been left untouched. Everyone has felt the impact of this terrible disease, whether by you yourself being ill or a family member or a loved one. And unfortunately, we've even had, sadly, deaths related to this disease. So many businesses have closed their doors, and even schools have had to cease operations and attempt to go online. And the list goes on. But you know what? This is not the first time we have faced obstacles as a people. And the overarching theme must be that we will survive and overcome. You know, even my own company, Grace Kennedy, has had some very challenging times. But yet still, despite those challenges, we will be celebrating our 100th anniversary or birthday, the centennial, next year, 2022. And as a company, we have seen our fair share of challenges. We started as a very small company trading in downtown Kingston, and we were founded on Valentine's Day, February 14th, 1922. But you know what? We have stuck to it, and we have grown from strength to strength. Now we have operations literally all over the globe. We survived the Great Depression. We have seen global and local crises come and go, and we have survived. And you know what? We have thrived. These challenges have in fact made us stronger. And the truth is, in life, everyone will face adversity and challenges. And sometimes it seems impossible, such as this pandemic. But no matter the obstacle, we can always overcome once we keep focused on the end goal. And you know, in fact, I have a little formula for how to overcome tough times. And it has 4 steps. The first one is to keep your eyes on the goal, stay focused, and just bear in mind that tough times do not last forever. This too shall pass. Also, if you fall down, brush yourself off and get right back up, because only by brushing off whatever challenge has come your way will you be able to take on the next set of challenges and to grow from the experience. Never be afraid to ask for help. We all need help sometimes. No man is an island. If you do need help, ask for it. And finally, which might be the most important, give of yourself to others. Help others if you think they may be in need. You know, sometimes as young people in particular, you may feel that you can't make a difference, but you can. You can absolutely make a difference. In these times, the difference you can make could be observing the COVID-19 protocols to help to stem the spread of the virus in your own homes and communities. So in closing, I would like to share the words which I found very inspiring, and I hope you will too, coming from Erich Fromm. Erich Fromm is a German-born American psychoanalyst. And he said, let your mind start a journey through a strange new world. Leave all thoughts of the world you knew before. Let your soul take you where you long to be. Close your eyes, let your spirit start to soar, and you'll live as you've never lived before. Thank you for your time, and may God bless you all.
Solomon, and thanks to Grace Kennedy for their support over the years of this program and for facilitating the official launch each year. And we are happy to be reminded that Grace Kennedy will celebrate their 100th anniversary in 2022 when Jamaica will be celebrating our 60th anniversary as an independent nation. I gather that when we played the young people, you didn't hear them. That's the Wilbert Stewart Basic School young people doing their poem. And so we're going to play it back so you can hear exactly how those little ones performed. So, Mr. Clark, if we're ready, let's go with it.
Each day I live to see a brand new more. So many challenges with this pandemic going on. Classes online. Sometimes we can't get in on time. In spite of this, I soar. Oh yes, I will soar. So make room for me. I am a child of the future, still becoming anything I want to be. I will strive to make an impact in this world. I will continue to dream. I will be heard. I remain resilient. I will not give in. I will soar like an eagle, high in the winds. Yes, I will soar. Soar!
You heard? I will soar. And of course, I mentioned that their teacher, Janice Brown, is the teacher who did that poem and prepared those students to deliver. I want to thank you again if you're watching on YouTube, the Institute of Jamaica YouTube channel. We want to thank you. We have 122 people there. So at this point, and on the Ministry of Education and Information Facebook page, 200. Tell others to join, all right? We're in the official launch of Child Month 2021. Now, Ms. Laurie Ann Samuels is the Executive Director of the National Baking Company Foundation, and they have been constantly supporting the National Child Month Committee launch and the Child Month activities in Jamaica. So could we just at this time hear from Ms. Laurie Ann Samuels?
The need to provide a support system for our nation's children. Now more than ever, we are called upon to pay attention to our children, to communicate with our children, to motivate and empower our children, to support our children's aspirations for greatness, to strengthen their resolve to persevere and achieve despite the pandemic, despite crime, despite hardships, despite limitations. We can all agree that this year's theme for Child Month, I Soar, an acronym for I strive to overcome adversities with resilience, is a fitting theme for the challenges currently being faced by us all, but more particularly our children, who are our source of hope. Our future rests with them, and the actions we take today to inspire, educate, and encourage them will shape a generation of Jamaicans who soar, resilient in the face of any adversity. The National Baking Company Foundation would like to be a part of the wind that allows our children to soar. How about you?
short and spicy. And we thank you so very much, Ms. Laurie Ann Samuels. There's a bit more entertainment that we'd like to share with you at this time. A slightly older young person, a teenager. And you know that Ardennes High School is associated with the Exceptional Performing Arts program. And the young man, 15 years old, is Tavil Henry. And he's going to be performing for us, I believe, which was made popular by American gospel artist Yolanda Adams. Let me get out of his space. I think he's been given his mic. So Tavil, let me walk. You come that side and I'll go that side. All right. Could you welcome him? Those of us in the auditorium, just the 6 of us. Clap him now, please.
Thank you. They said you wouldn't make it so far, and ever since they said it, it's been hard. But never mind, at night you had to cry, 'cause you never let it go inside. You worked real hard and you know exactly what you want and need. So believe you can never give up. You can reach your goals. Just talk to your soul and say, I believe I can. I believe I will. I believe I know my dreams are real. I believe I stand. I believe I'll stand. I'm going. That's why. That is what I do believe. Your goals are just a thing in your soul, and you know that your moves will let them show. You keep creating pictures in your mind, so just believe they will come through in time. It will be fine. Leave all of your cares and stress behind. Just let it go. Let the music flow inside. Forget all your pain and just start to believe. I can, I will. I know my dreams are real. I'll dance and I'll stand. That's why I do believe. Whoa, whoa, yeah. Never mind what people say. Hold your breath and turn away. With all my hopes and dreams, I will believe. Even though it seems it's not for me, I won't give up. I'll keep it up. Looking to the sky, will achieve all my needs. I will always believe. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, yeah. I will. Know my dreams are real. I'll dance and I'll stand. That's why I do believe. My dreams are real. I'll dance, I'll stay. Yeah, that's why I do believe.
Over to your left a little bit more, Tavil. Hello, those of us who are here. Put our hands together. Performers need applause. Performers thrive on applause, particularly when they are singing to an empty auditorium, right, Tavil? But one moment, don't move, Tavil. Tomorrow is a special day in your life. Oh, yes, says he. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you, dear Tavil. Happy birthday, one more time. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you, dear Tavil. Happy birthday. Rock it up. That's for tomorrow. Thank you for sharing your talent. God bless you. Right. Talent like mad in this country. So I told you about how many watching on Facebook and how many watching on YouTube. And we have about 80 on Zoom as well. Thank you so very much. All right, let's continue. And now we have some more greetings. And this time, the Chief Executive Officer, hardworking lady of the Child Protection and Family Service Agency, Mrs. Rosalie Gage Gray. We are going to be joining her now for her greetings.
Moderator, Miss Ray Ellington, Honourable Robert Nesta Morgan, MP, Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information, the Honourable Douglas Arain, Patron Child Month, Dr. Pauline Munnings, Chairman, National Child Month Committee, Mrs. Diane Gordon Harrison, Children's Advocate, our sponsors, other distinguished ladies and gentlemen, children, good morning. On behalf of the management and staff of the Child Protection and Family Services Agency, we are pleased to participate in this, the launch of one of the most significant months of the calendar, Child Month. With just 17 days to go, we are excited to once again join forces with other protection partners, non-government organizations, and individuals who share the common goal of safeguarding our children. The CPFSA remains committed in the care and protection of Jamaica's children deemed at risk or otherwise in need of care and protection. Through our primary, secondary, and tertiary prevention programs, we aim to protect children from all forms of abuse, neglect, harm, or threat of harm. The truth is, we want a Jamaica where no child will be abused. To achieve this, it requires a unified approach to ensure the safety and security of our children. In 2019, we launched the National Plan of Action for an Integrated Response to Children and Violence, which is part of Jamaica's response to its commitments made to the Global Partnership to End Violence Against Children, and will be implemented over a 5-year period. The goal is to create and maintain a protective environment supportive of and responsive to the issues of violence, child abuse, and maltreatment of children in Jamaica. The plan involves collaboration among several government ministries, agencies, and departments, civil society groups, and other stakeholders. The core objective is to reduce the impact of violence against children through an integrated approach to prevention, control, intervention, monitoring, and evaluation. This is to ensure that the rights of children are preserved and that an environment is created to stimulate their positive growth and development into productive citizens of Jamaica. The current reality of many of our children is anxiety and fear. The COVID-19 pandemic has impacted on how they learn, play, and grow. To go further, children are suffering in silence as their safe spaces have been shuttered and in an effort to reduce the impact of the pandemic. In 2020, the CPFSA received 9,800 cases of abuse against children. Sexual abuse accounted for 20% of these reports. Since the pandemic, we are seeing an increase in parishes such as St. Thomas, St. Elizabeth, St. Mary, Portland, and slightly in Hanover. We reiterate the need for our children to be treated with care. They deserve to be protected from harm and abuse. Every time a first responder visits the scene of an incident, there's a father, mother, uncle, brother, sister who are victims of violence. And by virtue, our children are fatherless, motherless, and traumatized. The headlines in the recent news broadcasts are an indicator of this. We have to therefore rethink child protection placing greater emphasis on parenting and community parenting. We want every child, wherever you are, to look in the mirror and speak these words of affirmation. I strive to overcome adversities with resilience. Jamaica's children are our greatest asset. As a nation, the responsibility is ours to ensure the creation of an environment in which our children can grow up to become confident, caring adults, conscious of their social responsibilities. We renew our commitment towards the welfare of our children. Let us teach them to be resilient, educate them about child abuse and how to report it. To call 888-PROTECT. That's 888-776-8328. Or to report at childprotection.gov.jm through email. We commend the Child Month Committee for your commitment to this very symbolic period for our country, a time where as a nation we stop to ensure that every Jamaican child feels extra special. Our children are the future of our country, and it is our duty to ensure that their emotional, physical, social, spiritual, and civic needs are met. This can only be achieved if, as caregivers, we play our part in the lives of even one child. Every child deserves our protection. God bless our children and families. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Rosalie Gage Gray, the Chief Executive Officer, the Child Protection and Family Service Agency. There are some things that Mrs. Gage Gray said that I just want to remind us. She said the current reality of our children is anxiety and fear. And we know it's not only to do with the COVID-19 pandemic, but some of the domestic circumstances or the circumstances they face in their communities. May I beg you, no? She asked the children to phone in and report it if they are experiencing anything that is making them unhappy, sad, or they're, but I want to ask you, the adults in the community, you can't go on see and blind, hear and deaf. We have to be each other's keeper, and sometimes it's how you approach the scenario, You have to intervene if you realize so, and if you can't do it yourself, get in touch with the Child Protection and Family Service Agency, or call the police or the church or the school or something. We have to take back with children with love and care and protection. We have to do that. And now to continue, Mrs. Diane Gordon Harrison, the children's advocate, will now bring her greetings.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen all, good morning. As your children's advocate, it is my distinct privilege and pleasure to be sharing once again in the media launch for Child Month. Child Month 2021 is extremely special because, as you know, Jamaica, like the rest of the world, has been battling the effects of the COVID-19 pandemic. We all agree that while we are very much all vulnerable to this very great change in our lives, our children remain at the core of a very difficult circumstances. What encourages me, however, is even the theme that the National Child Month Committee has sought to use. And it is, I soar. I strive to overcome adversities with resilience. As I reflect on the theme, there are two words in my greetings that I urge you to hold on to: perseverance and hope. We all need to recognize that the true test of any vessel is how it performs in the storm. COVID-19 has been a storm of life, and we're all being tested as to how we can bob and weave, if you will, to survive the storm. And so I want to encourage our children to recognize that perseverance is a trait that will take you from the low to the high. Perseverance is what gets us through difficult times as human beings. And perseverance is one of those traits that I want you to hold very dear to in these very uncertain times. Hope. We all need to hope. or else we will despair and have very difficult outcomes. It's difficult sometimes to hope when all things seem lost, when all things seem oppressive. But I encourage you never to give up hope, because once there's life, there is hope, and there is a chance to improve our circumstances. We in the child protection sector, and of course that includes the Office of the Children's Advocate, stand ready to help you to see how we can persevere together through difficult times and hope as well as work together for a better future. We ask you to reach out to us, children, if you have a need, if you are feeling that despair get to you, so that together we can ride the storm. I wish for you, National Child Month Committee, all the very success for May. And in fact, I urge all our nation to celebrate our children, not just in May, but throughout the rest of the year, because they deserve it. So again, on my own behalf and on behalf of the entire Office of the Children's Advocate, I greet you warmly and wish for you a very successful launch. Thank you and all the very best.
Thank you, Mrs. Diane Gordon Harrison, Children's Advocate in the Office of the Children's Advocate. Indeed. Thank you so very much for your warm greetings. And now there's a jingle that has been done especially for the Child Month of 2021. And the person who composed and arranged that jingle is none other than Grob Cooper, CD. Mr. Cooper has over 50 years experience in the music industry, but not just as a drummer, as you might know with Fab Five, but also as a composer and arranger of jingles for events such as this, commercials, for all kinds of documentaries. And so he got together and composed and arranged this, and the students of Excelsior Primary School will now perform that jingle. Thank you, Mr. Cooper.
Children need your love and protection so we can achieve our full potential. Work with us and guide us. Love us. Don't abuse us. Spend quality time with us. That's a plus. We are the future.
Children need our love and protection.
A message from the National Child Month Committee.
I'm almost tempted to say, could we hear it again? But maybe at the end of the event, because we have, in fact, we started late and we're running late. Thank you so very much for that. And now it is time for our keynote address. And this gentleman you've been seeing and hearing about for a while. But he needs to be introduced. And I think that I want to introduce him in this manner. He is the Minister of State in the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. He was formerly a Senator and Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister between 2019 and 2020. Between 2016 and 2019, he was the Director of Communications at the Office of the Prime Minister. He's worked in media for over 13 years, and he is a past student. This is where the Garvey Massey High School people are going to say, yay, a past student of Garvey Massey High School and Clarendon College. He's from Woodhall in Clarendon, graduated from the University of the West Indies with a bachelor's degree in history, and that was in about 2004. And he has a LLB, law degree, from the University of London in England. Now, he has taken on this responsibility, portfolio responsibility for youth and information in the Ministry of Education and Information. But guess what happened? He's also from Clarendon. Yes. So I went to school there and come from there, and he's a member of Parliament for Clarendon North Central. I wish he were here in this room, but circumstances alter cases, and he's going to join us now virtually. So could we welcome the Honourable Robert Nesta Morgan, Member of Parliament.
Thank you, Auntie Faye. How are you today?
It's so good to see you. I was hoping that you were going to be here with me. Here we go. I'm handing over to you in your capable hands.
The exigencies of the current challenges have caused us to have to function in a different way. But I see that we're doing well. I want to give honor to the Master of Ceremonies. I call her Auntie Faye. Others call her Miss Faylington CD. I would like to thank the Secretary of the National Child Month Committee, Ms. Karen Palmer. I'd also like to thank the chairperson of the National Child Month Committee, Dr. Pauline Mullins. Also, Ms. Gail Moss-Solomon, General Counsel and Chief Corporate Secretary of Grace Kennedy, who have for many years contributed and participated in trying to make things better for children. National Baking Company, Miss Laurie Ann Samuels, Executive Director, thank you as well. Ms. Gage Gray, Executive Director of Child Protection and Family Services Agency. Mrs. Diane Gordon Harrison, Children's Advocate, and also our patron for Child's Month, the Honourable Douglas Horain, CD, JP, and Dr. Michelle Campbell, co-chairman of the subcommittee for Child's Month. Thank you very much for inviting me to this very important launch. It's actually a great pleasure to be sharing with you at this launch as children continue to be some of the more important members of our society, not just because they are so dependent on us for their survival, but because they represent the future hopes and aspirations of our country, and how we deal with them determines how our society moves forward. I listened keenly to Dr. Pauline Mullins as she went to the history of Child's Month from 1953. It's one of the longest institutions within our society, started pre-independence. And I'm also very happy with the significant work that the committee has done over the years, and the fact that it is voluntary and you guys continue to, every year for the last many decades, continue to place the interest of children front and center in the national conversation. We recognize here at the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information that we are at more or less a crossroads in the whole conversation and action related to children. Some of you may be aware of some of the issues that have been unearthed over the last few weeks. Well, I've been here for 6 months, and over the last 6 months, several issues related to children have been unearthed within the society. And I start here because I think it is very important for every opportunity I get, not only to encourage and inform, but to ask persons to recommit their energies, their focus, their talents, their intellectual ability towards the interest of children and protecting children. A lot of work is being done by persons like the CPFSA and the Children's Advocate. A lot of work is being done by the Early Childhood Commission, by the Ministry of Education itself, by non-governmental organizations to build awareness within the society about the importance of children and how to protect their rights. But I will suggest to you that the sum of all our works is still not enough, as we have yet to turn the corner on one of the most challenging issues that we face, and that is the issue of violence against children. This is not just related to corporal punishment, which persons like myself, the Prime Minister, and many other well-thinking Jamaicans continue to condemn and encourage the banning of, not just within the government service, which we have, but seek to ban it nationally and remove it from our culture as a means of discipline. But also speaking about sexual violence, which continues to be one of the greatest challenges that we face as a society. I meet with Mrs. Gage Gray every Monday morning at about 10 o'clock. And Mondays are the most difficult days for me as a minister, because I now have to go through many of the incidents that are impacting our children, the sexual abuse, the violence, the children who are deemed uncontrollable and are placed in penal institutions without charge, exposed to persons who themselves have criminal tendencies. the incidents within our state care system of abuse, the incidents in the private care system of abuse. These are the issues that I confront every Monday morning. And these are the issues that Ms. Gage confronts every single day, 24 hours a day. Ms. Diane Gordon Harrison would also have the experience of having to listen to the many stories of abuse, having to investigate many incidents of persons who have a duty of care to protect our children, reneging on that duty of care. Some have been placed before the court, some have been fired, some are on interdiction. But there's a bigger conversation that needs to be had. And the bigger conversation is the role that all of us can play and should play in the protection of our children. The conversation needs to take place about how we can change the culture of our society, where we no longer see children as assets, as ornaments initially, entertainment intermediately, and pensions finally, but see them as human beings who have thoughts and feelings and emotions, who have a whole world of aspirations that can be fulfilled with just a guiding hand and a loving heart. The conversation needs to take place within our society that every child is our child. The conversation needs to take place in our society that young girls are not receptacles for the pleasures of men, or young boys receptacles for the pleasures of men and women, vice versa. The conversation needs to take place within our society that no one individual entity or government or organization, no matter how powerful, no matter how strong, not the police, not the SISOCA, will be able to protect our children unless everyone decides that protecting our children is important. There can be no arrest without a report. There can be no consequence without evidence. We've been hearing from the DPP over the last couple of days about some of the grave injustices being done to our children by adults in certain parishes. The only way we are able to hear about these is because someone made a report. It's because somebody decided that they're going to follow through and testify. Someone decided that they saw something and they reported it. Someone called 188 Protect. Someone called the Children's Advocate. Someone called Sisoko because they felt that a child was being abused. We need more people to call because we know that as many incidents that we see come forward in front of the courts or come to the reports that come to my desk, there are many incidents in communities in Jamaica that are not reported. There are many situations of normalized abuse where stepfathers and fathers see their daughters as property, where they see their sons as annoyances and beat them to submission, and nobody's reporting it. So while I raise these issues, and to some extent they are depressing, and persons may ask the question, do I need to speak about this now? The question I ask them is, when do I speak about it? Is there a special place to have a conversation about the rights of children other than, more appropriately, Child's Month? But while we have all of these negative things taking place, there is change coming and there is change happening. A lot of work has been done over the years looking at the incidents of violence against children and seeking to create a framework to protect them. They didn't begin under this administration or the previous one. We have had work with the passing of the Child Care and Protection Act in 2007. We've had work to make the system more robust with better reporting with the 188 Protect. We've had work with Ananda Alert, but there's a lot more work to be done. And us here at the Ministry of Education under the leadership of Prime Minister Andrew Holness, as well as my minister, Minister Favour Williams, have been very anxious and impatient for change and reform. The first thing we did when we came here was we looked at the system and we decided, the fruit that we decided to pick was the 0 to 3 policy, where some children who interact with state care under the age of 3 years old were being placed in children's homes, which is no place for a child under 3. We worked with the Child Care and Protection Family Services Agency, Child Protection and Family Services Agency, to craft a policy to ensure that no child under 3 ever ends up in a children's home, because children under 3 require a level of nurturing and care that cannot be given in a state care facility. That plan is now on its way to cabinet to ensure that within the next 3 months, our intentions can be perfected. We also started work on the reform of the Child Care and Protection Act, particularly urgently, the repeal of an aspect of Section 24, which gives judges the discretion to use a detention order to place children in penal institutions without charge, exposing them to negative socialization, for simple things as running away, for simple things as a parent coming to the court and saying, I cannot control this child. So there are now children in the penal institutions who are not there because they have been charged with a crime, but because their parents feel that they cannot control them. That is not something we are willing to tolerate. That cabinet submission has already been completed and it's going to the process. So we expect within a few weeks to months, no child in Jamaica will be able to be given a detention order without charge and placed in a penal institution. We're also looking at reforming our childcare system, being more strong on the licensing regime of children's homes, looking at children's homes and figuring out the best way to assist them to become world-class. There are plans in place to build a Center of Excellence at Maxfield Park Children's Home, where not only will we have good psychosocial intervention for children, but a place where child care professionals can come and learn the best practices in the system. We're already crafting a grading system for homes where we can have an objective test to determine what standards are homes fulfilling and how can we objectively, fairly intervene in these homes to bring about a change. We've already created the cabinet submission for the amendments to the Child Care and Protection Act, which were determined in the recent Joint Select Committee. We've already started finalizing the policy for the new Adoption Act, which has been on the table since 2009. We're impatient of change. When I do my unannounced visits to children's homes, it's not to just catch people doing wrong. That is not the intention. It is to understand the real story on the ground. We have seen many situations where we can make simple adjustments, Ms. Gage and I, on several visits, and we can make simple adjustments to make the life of children in state care better. Just by making small changes within the policy and legislative ecosystem, we can cause massive change. But to cause this massive change to be long-term and fundamental, we need the support of every single Jamaican. Most of the people here on this live stream have an interest in children. I ask for you not to be discouraged, not to be uninspired, but to continue to press on, because without you and their sacrifice, our children in Jamaica are at a disadvantage. We as a society have to determine who is the Jamaican child, what should the Jamaican child look and sound like, and how that child to be treated. How do we accommodate and promote the aspirations of our children so they can be the best they can be? And I believe Child's Month presents a grand opportunity for us all to recommit to the interest of our children, for us all to start looking not just from within our own, the prism of our own understanding as to what children should be, but to understand how the society sees children and see how we can all work together as one country, one government, to encourage our citizens to work with our families, to work with our schools, our teachers, guidance counselors, taximen, loadermen, everyone, to see our children as the future who need to be protected. So I want to thank you for continuing the work you're doing. I want to thank the National Child's Month Committee. I want to thank all the private sector sponsors, the government agencies, the non-government agencies, all the persons who continue to work really hard under trying circumstances in the interest of our children. You have a series of events which I am very happy with, which will inevitably impact children positively within our society. I support you 100%. And I will continue supporting you with all my energies. And you have the full backing of the government and the Ministry of Education, Youth and Information. And I pledge that whatever help we can give to assist in the further development of Child's Month to ensure that it can last for another 50 odd years, that to ask and we will see how best we can. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening. Really appreciate the opportunity. And I pray and hope and expect an amazing Child's Month in May. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister. Don't go away. I want to look at your face a little longer because I want to just say, yes, and the smile, lovely, beautiful. That you said, you know, some people might wonder why you're raising some of those issues that really not pleasant. There is no time like the present. And with what is happening, you are right. Raise
Thank
it.
you,
You
Auntie
can't
Faye.
just sugarcoat everything and just talk about everything that is great. Yes, there are some things that are great, but things that are not doing so, we are not doing so well with, we need to talk about them. And there are two things I want to mention. You said where there can be no arrest unless there is a report. And I had said earlier on, you can see I'm blind, hear I'm deaf. You have a report. And sometimes you have to report a member of your own family or own community. But you can't just protect the relationship you have with the person. You have to protect your picnic. Trust me. And the last thing, I loved it when you spoke about what we need to be. We need to be guiding hands and a loving heart to our children. There is a gift for you. You're not here, so I've told them to give it to me. So you won't be getting any gift. Not true. The gift will be taken to you by Dr. Pauline Mullings. She wants to thank you very, very much for your contribution to the day. And thanks. Now I know how you spend your Monday mornings, and I know that Mrs. Rosalie Gage Gray is hardworking and her team, and the children's advocate, I understand, they are constantly at it. So we thank them for their work. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have the official launch of Child Month, and that will be done by the Honourable Douglas Arain, CDJP. Let's welcome him, Patron Child Month.
Around them. So let's set the best example we can for our children. Joy that is. Fellow citizens of Jamaica, the COVID-19 pandemic has caused many changes in my life. One is that I have my 3-year-old granddaughter staying in our home for an extended period. What a joy that is. The experience reminds me how our younger generation are yearning for love, affection, and guidance. They are like sponges, absorbing whatever they see or hear around them. So let's set the best example we can for our children, not only during Child Month, but throughout the entire year. Let's also give every support that we can to their teachers as we explore new and innovative ways to make learning a delight during this pandemic. I now declare Child Month, May 2021, launched.
Thank you so very much, Patron. the Honourable Douglas Orain, CD, JP, gentleman who was at the head of Grace Kennedy for a number of years. Thank you so very much. We are very near the end of the program. All that's left is for the vote of thanks and then the playing of our national anthem. And wherever you are, we're going to ask you to stand when that time comes. So let me just do a quick little thing. You're going to see me do my little spray here now, right? That's okay. First time you see it since morning, but we've been doing it because the vote of thanks will now be moved by Dr. Michelle Campbell, and she's co-chairman, the media launch subcommittee of the National Child Month Committee. So let me get out of her way, and let me just do this. You have your mic, Michelle? Oh, yeah, she has her mic, so I'll move mine.
Thank you so much, Faye Ellington, Miss Ellington, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning. What a wonderful time we have experienced this morning with the launch of Child Month 2021 under the theme, I Soar. I strive to overcome adversities with resilience. First, we give God thanks for having steered us and steered the plans surrounding our Child Month media launch and for being in our midst today. To our guest speaker, Honourable Robert Morgan, we thank you for delivering such a timely and sound address which expounded on the theme of Child Month and so eloquently spoke to our nation's children and to us in general. To our patron, Honourable Douglas Orain, and our sponsors, Grace Kennedy Limited and the National Baking Company Limited, we express our profound gratitude for your consistent support over the years. Your passion for the well-being of our nation's children remain evident. To our agency partners and those who brought greetings, Mrs. Gail Moss Salmon, Grace Kennedy Limited, Miss Laurie Ann Samuels, National Baking Company Limited, Mrs. Rosalie Gage Gray, Child Protection and Family Services Limited, and Mrs. Diana Gordon Harrison, the Office of the Children's Advocacy. To our young people who kept us entertained with their beautiful items, the Wilbert Stewart Basic School and Tavel Henry from the Arden High School, you blessed our hearts. Continue to use your talents to serve others. To our technical team, who is responsible for making this virtual launch possible and for us to be able to share this event with you, we thank you and we greatly appreciate you. What a fitting theme it is, because as we invite you to soar under the theme, I Soar, which is striving to overcome adversities with resilience, we too are learning this lesson as we start our preparations for Child Month. Thanks to the media representatives for their coverage of this event and for your continued support to the National Child Month Committee and our associated activities. To the host, the Institute of Jamaica, we so appreciate you hosting this event, and we thank you as usual for your generous support and contribution and for partnering with us in this event. I could not end without acknowledging our team, led by Dr. Pauline Mullins, our chairperson, and especially to the planning committee of this media launch. Continue to do the great work that you are doing, and we will continue to serve our nation's children and by extension, Jamaica, land we love. Last but by no means least, I'd like to thank all who have joined us on the various media platforms, whether it be YouTube, Facebook, or by way of the Zoom link. Thank you so much for sharing with us today as we launch our Child Month under the theme again, I soar. I strive to overcome adversities with resilience. God bless our nation's children. I thank you and have a good day.
Thank you so very much. And that, of course, is the penultimate item on the program given by Dr. Michelle Campbell. We now prepare for the national anthem. And while you are standing where you are, you have to push back the dining room chair or the office chair or wherever you are. Or maybe, you know, in your bedroom, I'm going to ask you to stand for the anthem. Just want to, I worked very closely with a gentleman who was doing so many jobs this morning. Jeff Clark, I want to thank you because it was not easy pulling together the disparate parts, AV at the Institute, audiovisuals at the Institute of Jamaica, and to somebody I had seen before, but I properly met this morning, Mrs. Marvisha Good Game Chin, who interpreted for the deaf and hearing impaired. Thank you. Thank you for being here online, on the platform, and just sharing with us. And now, may I invite you to stand for the playing of our national anthem.
Our national anthem represents the beauty, pride, strength, and resilience of Jamaica and our people. My name is Agent Sasko. Please stand as we honor Jamaica, our culture, and our history.
Have a very good day to all of you here. Thanks for your support. Dr. Mullings? Where Dr. Mullings? Just want to thank her again. Thank you, thank you. God bless you. Walk good, be safe. Remember the protocols, and we'll be good. By the way, I got my vaccination on Thursday. Yay.
Some cry, some smile, some fight every day. We rise to the top, 'cause we know what it takes. Through it all we survive, yet still hold the faith. Unchangeable, Lord, unchangeable. Hey, no matter how the dollar might stack up, me still not change. Me, I go stay rough. Inna the giddy and you have to buckle up your lace. Be smart, don't be a gruff, no. Life, it's a journey, it's a long race. Mama says, son, be wise and don't bring disgrace. So me take up the broom and start sweep the place. 'Cause all these ways, they got to get erased. I love to me people that me embrace. The truth are the truth and that can't erase. So hell to all of those who want hate. Just send me to finish this race. So we ain't giving up now. We put up a fight. We got to be ready. 'Cause time's getting dreary. Just said, don't you worry. I'll be in a hurry, Lord. We got to be ready. 'Cause time's getting mama be strong. Jackie, have faith in God, me no know about man. Long time them a try bring